Anthropic has released Cloud Code, and I'm not sure if you have tried it or not, but I've been playing around it for around a week now, which is basically a game-changing tool from Anthropic that brings AI directly into your terminal. Imagine being able to describe what you want in plain English or any other language and having it write, test, and debug your code for you. It's pretty much like a command line tool that embeds the Claude models, like the Opus and the Sonnet, which are the flagship coding models, directly into our environment or our terminal. So what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to create a repository and then write some code with Claude code and push that code, PR it, and approve it. So you can do that today in the command line, in which obviously you can use Cursor, you can use Windsurf, they're all the same, right? But the experience with Cloud Code today is a bit different, and there is in which if you go to Cloud Code today, you can go in here and you can subscribe for $17 a month for the annual and $20 if you want to do it monthly. Right, so you can do that inside your terminal. But if we go to Claude install, something like that, you can set up Claude through the npm install. I'll put this link in the description of the video. But without further ado, we can maybe start with a very, very simple directory, and then you can activate Claude using the Claude command. So you enter Claude, and then it tells you, hey, it has recognized your current working directory, which is the temp here, and gives you like tips for getting started. Ask Claude to create a new app or clone a repository, in which you can use Claude to help with file analysis, editing, batch commands, and Git. Be as specific as you would with another engineer, which is a very, very important point, because it's the same with Cursor and Windsurf. You need to describe your task as clearly as possible so that the LLM or the agentic workflow of Cursor, Windsurf, or Cloud Code could understand the technicalities, the business, or even any edge cases that it might go through. So you need to be very specific into the tasks, the subtasks, or even the complexity of those subtasks. So you can use slash here to go through the different commands that you can go to. You can create a new working directory. You can configure the agents, report a bug, clear the conversation history, and free up context. Or this compact, I like it, which you can clear the history but keep a summary in the context. That is very useful if you are moving the agent into pipelines of code bases, in which, hey, I'm going to start with a data engineering pipeline, you finish it up, and then you go, hey, I'm going to compact this conversation to go to the machine learning pipeline, for example. And here you can show the cost. Obviously, since we are subscribing, we don't need to go through the total cost here. There's doctor, you can export. Obviously, you export the current conversation into your current working directory. Help and other stuff. Even here, MCP servers, you can obviously do that. The same with Cursor, but it's through the GUI. For the model, you can play around with the model. But for us, we're going to do the review a pull request. So what I'm going to do now is, obviously, I don't have a repo. So this is an empty directory. So I'm going to use the GitHub, the GitHub CLI to create a repository. So it asks me to give a repository name. So I can go by test repo, something like that. And the repository owner is myself. Description, which is this is a test repo. Whether I want to public or private, I want to go with private. I don't want a README file, no get ignore. I would go with the license. I'd use an MIT license, and then it confirms that you want to create this private repository, and then it asks you whether you want to clone this repository locally, and bingo. So now you have this test repo. I think you're going to be having this in the repositories. So if I refresh my, yeah, I can see test repo here. It has been created with the license that I have specified. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to now generate the code. But before that, I think we should create a branch, right? So get checkout -b dev. That's have created a branch now in which I want the Claude to go into the repository, because now the current working directory is not inside the repository, right? So I'm gonna exit from here, gonna go inside test repo, and obviously I'm in dev, so I can go and enter whatever I want to do, right? And I can go with, now we need to start writing the application, something like create a counter program using Python to increment, decrement, and reset, print it out, and that's it. I'm not being as specific as possible, but this is a fairly easy thing to do. So I hope it actually thinks that I'm creating something simple here. Right? It's doing its magic. It's even counting the number of tokens for you. So yeah, it has written the code, which is a basic class, and it's wrapped with a container called create file, in which you will be able to, it asks you for permission now. So do you want to create this file, or yes and don't ask again, or no and tell Claude what to do differently? So it's pretty much sophisticated. So we're going to go with this option. Now it has written the code. So if I go and list the files, I should see counterpy, right? Now it asks me to run it. I don't think it's going to work. I doubt, because yes, there is no command Python. It's going to ask me to, it's going to check on that, but instead I'm just going to go no. I don't want it to run it. I can fairly easily add using UV, I can add an environment variable, I can activate that, and I think I can run it, right? Yeah, it works basically. So it has run here. So I can run it again and again. It's not working. There is like probably a bug out of Claude. That's not the best thing to do in a demo Claude. Probably I should have explained the task better. But I can tell it like, I want to choose which operation to do on the counter, all to be executed from the command. So I think it's going to edit the code, and I'll modify the counter program to accept command line arguments for choosing operations. It's consuming 600 tokens so far to write the code, and it has done the edits, as you see, right? So I'll be able to apply those edits, and I'll be able to write the operation. So I'll write increment, and it should start incrementing, right? So there's that, and if I use decrement, that's gonna work as well. So now our code is ready. So if we check the get status, I see that there is this text file that keeps in the results, I assume. So if I counter value, I'm gonna see like the latest value that it gets saved on a text file, which is obviously not practical, but we can just keep that for the purposes of the demo. But what we can do is that I'm gonna ask Claude to push the code. Can you add or push the code to dev? Probably shouldn't have asked the question, but I assume it will do that. It will ask me for, it has added, I think, and it's checking. Now it has added a commit. Now it's asking me for permission for the add. I'm like, all right, sure, do whatever you want. Well, obviously you need to be very careful for it not to delete your database, as we have heard recently. Now it's adding a comment the git commit message. Now it's gonna push, I assume. Right, yeah, it recognized we're already in dev, and it should do origin dev. And now it's pushed, right? So if we go to our repository, we see that there are recent pushes here. What I can do as well is that maybe I can PR, I can create a pull request, right? All right, now it asked me to set a title, but by default, they took the latest commit message, right? So I'm gonna move in with that, ask me for a body. This is, all right, it doesn't want to let me use it because I need to go into Nano. All right, so I can submit. I think the PR has been created and it gives me a link. So if we go to pull requests, we should find the pull request here. And bingo, it tells me here Claude has pushed, obviously. And that's very good actually to see. But if I go back here and review the code, now it should start reviewing the code and probably giving me, now what's gonna do is to list those pull requests. So when it lists, it should see the pull request here, and then it will view it, have a look at it, and then probably, now it's gonna look at the code by using the def and checking the change log if it exists. It's going to be very straightforward, I assume. So there are lots of reasoning tokens coming down the line here. So it has written some issues, some stuff. It didn't want to pass it through. You can approve with minor changes. The core functionality is solid, but adding error handling would make it more robust for production use, obviously, right? So, and it's giving you examples and suggested improvements, which is quite great. But I'm gonna go like, all right, could you please approve that? And it should proceed, but I don't think that's gonna work. Now it's asking me to actually approve it. That's how you approve it, through the GitHub command. And yes, I want to do that. Obviously, it's not gonna work because you cannot approve your own pull requests, right? So cannot approve since you're the author. GitHub doesn't allow self-approval. That makes sense. So if we get back to the pull requests and go in here, go to the comment message, and if I want to just approve, I can't do that. So I'm not saying that it is probably the best thing in the world. It is still, you can still use it as you would use Cursor, Windsurf, or the other LLM-specific code agents. But it's a tool that everybody's migrating to today. I'm not speaking for everybody, but rather because of the improvements that Claude Code has implemented and how they're getting closer to the developers is something great. And I see that those code agents are improving day by day. But when I have seen also GitHub Spark, which actually, in my opinion, is gonna overrule all of the other code agents because it is exactly living in the environment that the developer wants to live in, which is GitHub, right? The repositories or the code repositories. So this is how I'm thinking about it. It's not rocket science, but the thing is, working from the command line is, in my opinion, very intuitive as an engineer. And I think that also working from the IDE has its benefits. But at the end of the day, it's all about personal preference. So obviously, this is not to promote any tool over the other. All of them are great. I'm a customer for all of them. For Cursor, Windsurf, I'm a very, very happy customer. But at the end of the day, we're engineers and we want to explore what's out there. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you.